To this point in the year, as we sit in the lull between the spring and fall game rushes, it's hard for me to not think that it's been at least a bit of a disappointing year for games. Sure, there have been some gems large and small, Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 2, The Outer Wilds, but there have been a few games that felt like they should have been juggernauts that have been more lackluster. Now compare the start of this year to recent years, especially 2017 and 18, and it becomes even bleaker. We haven't had a God of War, a Zelda, or a Horizon to carry the year. But that's not to say that 2019 can't make a comeback, and there are a bunch of games that could bring this year back to the standards years past have set. Here are my 5 most anticipated games for the rest of 2019 that I think could make 2019 one of my favorite years in gaming. Number 1, Borderlands 3. It's hard to believe it's almost been 7 years since the last main Gearbox Borderlands game. I remember playing Borderlands 2 when it came out and spending hours upon hours getting the best loot I could manage. It was the single biggest game that made me enjoy the looter-shooter genre, which is a genre I still don't really love to this day. I ended up never playing the pre-sequel because I never had the time and it felt like other games were coming out, but I'm ready to set aside a few literal weeks to play Borderlands 3. Even though it doesn't look like Gearbox is really doing that much new with the formula because the world, characters, and tone are still pretty much the same as previous games, people are still fucking excited for this game, me included. If this game is just a new story with bigger, more fleshed out worlds and laugh-out-loud humor that carried the last games, it's already a contender for a favorite of mine. It seems like it's the proper Borderlands sequel that we've been waiting for the better half of a decade, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Number 2, The Dark Pictures Man of Medan. Until Dawn was one of the most surprising successes of the generation, if not of my entire lifetime. When you look at the premise of an interactive teen slasher, on the surface you'd think that there are so many ways it could go wrong. But what we ended up getting was a refreshing take on the horror genre that cleverly implemented choices and branching paths, as it will not so subtly tell you before the game starts. Since Until Dawn released in 2015, Supermassive has had a few missteps with The Inpatient and Rush of Blood, but it looks like it's getting back on track in an almost too good to be true kind of ambitious way with the Dark Pictures anthology, releasing 8 titles, one every 6 months. I can't say I'm entirely convinced that this will happen exactly on schedule, but if we're set to get 8 Until Dawns over the course of the next few years, count me all the way in. And Man of Medan seems like it's going to start the anthology on a great note. It seems like it's taking what made Until Dawn great and translating it to a new type of horror in a relatively new setting, and I cannot wait to watch how it goes down and hopefully start the anthology off on a good note. Number 3, Astral Chain. The Switch has really been killing it up to this point in its life cycle, as you should know by, well, everything. With that said, because it doesn't have a new Zelda or proper mainline Mario game, despite Mario Maker 2 and Fire Emblem 3 Houses, it does feel like it's been a bit of a slow year for the platform. But that notion of the exclusive slowing down should hopefully change this fall, because after Fire Emblem, we have what could be a sleeper hit in Astral Chain. Platinum seems to be creating an amazing new world that they can combine with their fast-paced combat expertise, and the 2-character police sidekick mechanics, both inside and outside of combat, seem interesting and fresh. It doesn't seem at first like a game that would stand out as anything particularly amazing, but it has gotten nothing but good press since its reveal. It's coming out on the same day as Man of Medan, and the same week as Remedy's Control, and it seems like this, along with those other 2, could really make a phenomenal start to the fall. Number 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. After a number of years of what feel like stagnation and a series resting on its laurels, this could be the year we really see Call of Duty return to form. I've played the series for a long time, but it hasn't really been the same since Black Ops 2, when it had what I think was the best multiplayer in the series. Of course, though, the name Modern Warfare comes with a lot of history, baggage, and high expectations. Having a full-fledged single-player campaign and a return to a more grounded multiplayer, alongside the Spec Ops mode that I seem to like more than most, it seems like this Call of Duty is ripped right out of the past. But the reason I think it could be a true high point for the series is the narrative. There's been a bunch of controversy over the campaign already and how it is trying to be more realistic, with images of families and children being killed and the ability to use white phosphorus in the multiplayer. But with Taylor Kurosaki at the helm, who comes straight from Naughty Dog, I have a ton of faith in the team to make a meaningful and impactful story. Combine that with Infinity Ward's ability to make fun Call of Duty gameplay, and this could be not only a great Call of Duty game, but one of the best games of the year altogether. Number 5, The Outer Worlds. Alright, to be completely honest, this is my personal most anticipated game right now. And the more I see of it, the more excited I get. Taking what they've done with Fallout New Vegas, Obsidian seems to have built on that structure and made it bigger, more fun, more colorful, more open, more choice-based, basically just more of everything. After being officially revealed at the Game Awards last year, it seems like it's New Vegas with drops of a bunch of other games, especially Borderlands. What's more exciting is that it seems like it's leaning into some of the branching path notions that other games have done and that choices will really have an impact on the world. This has been getting a lot of nods for Best of E3 and Most Anticipated awards, and it looks like Obsidian will deliver as expected. It's going to be so much fun to kill, converse, and explore in this world, and I honestly cannot wait until it comes out. October 25th is so far away. Looking at 2019 and comparing it to the same period in the last generation, it's eerily similar to 2012. A few gems, but generally pretty slow compared to the years that sandwich it, especially because we're expecting next year to get our new consoles. Now, this year is a lot like 2012 for a bunch of reasons that are a whole different conversation, but if this means 2020 is going to be the next 2013, we have a great time on our hands. And let's hope these games can pull up the rest of this year and make it its own great year.